Good evening, dear friends. We are welcoming a beautiful soul from New Mexico, America. With me, Clarice Cregger, who's the owner and founder of Broken but Beautifully Made. I'm so glad that we found out time, and this was an fortunate incident where I could hang on to her and we could come live on Deep Talks. This is a pleasure hosting Clarice Cregger, and I welcome her with all the viewers who have joined us. I'm so very happy and glad to state that I've become a co-author, and it's a privilege for me to have, you know, appeared in amongst all the foreigners and be there representing India. It's an honor. Apart from that, I feel that broken but beautifully made concept has always inspired me, and this lady is doing terrific work in New Mexico. So let's hear from Clarice Cregger how she defines herself and what made her choose this concept to prove a point in this world that Lord is there working out his ways to choose the best for the souls who are broken but beautifully made. So I welcome you, Clarice. I really am very glad. So let me know what made you choose this concept of broken but beautifully made.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me here. Broken but Beautifully Made really derived from my story. I struggled a lot with sexual abuse and suicide and basically losing my identity.
I got
So
it.
I felt so broken at some point in my life, and God really helped me find out that even though in my brokenness, I'm still created beautifully by Him, and that I am made for such a time that I have to do it, that my pain can be turned into a purpose.
Oh, I'm sure that that's a wonderful kickstart to who you are. And that is so inspirational because people don't talk about it on the Indian corners as much as on the foreign corners. People are very broad and the outlook is quite open. So I am very glad to have you on my deep talks because it's a stage where people without fear talk about love, sensuality, sex, relationships, and much more than that. So I would
Mhm.
love to know what was that one failure in your life that taught you a lesson, Clarice? Like, apart from what you've mentioned right now, what was that deep hurt that actually
Mhm.
brought you to a point to enlighten your spirit to work for the women around you? Because you've been doing tremendous. I've been following you, and I'm quite sure that there are many souls who have been impacted by your work. So, can you just enlighten us on that note?
I would say it was during the time that my husband and I separated. I felt so lost. Like I just felt immediate abandonment. I struggled with that because my dad left me. My only father figure that was supposed to take care of me did that to me. And then now my husband left
Okay.
because I wasn't around so much. So I felt like a failure as a woman, that I couldn't fulfill that that responsibility, or that I couldn't, that nobody wanted me because I wasn't good enough, because my own father couldn't want me. Then being my husband leave was like the pinnacle of my failure in my life.
And that's such an honest confession, Clarice, and I'm so glad to actually host you in India because it's an honor for me as a psychologist to be speaking about such topics and you being open about it to share with the viewers that people should not resort to suicide, such an act which is actually a crime, and people should not commit such blunders in life. What is your take on people who have lost the hope in life? Like you have come out of it, was there anyone who was supporting you during this failure and breakdown of yours where you chose this concept of broken but beautifully made? Or do you think that it was a spiritual call that actually told you that, yes, Clarice, you can do it? This is your game and this is your life and you are going to live it up. What was it?
I would I would say it was spiritual. It was absolutely spiritual because at the time, as you know, struggling with abandonment, I was so codependent. I didn't had no friends. So at the moment that I was ready to like take my own life, all I could hear was God telling me, "I'm not done with you yet. So why are you doing this?" So it was like
Wow.
it literally took like a snap of a finger, and I just remember like I can't be here anymore. I can't live in this house. I moved, and And I started the enlightenment journey of like hiking and finding myself
Wow.
again and just really becoming the person God asked me to be. It wasn't an easy journey because I was always lonely, because I was still working
Mm.
out the marriage with my husband, which we're back now, but it was so terrifying because I've never lived on my own. I don't have family here. All my family is in another state. I have no friends. All I've known was that I'm a wife and that's all I am. And so when that left, I was so lost. Like, oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? And then
True.
I just remember the time that I was ready to take my life, God spoke to me and He's like, I need you to run and get out of your house. And I need you to find me. And that was it. Ever
That
since that moment, God just keep working on my life.
That's wonderful. Nishtha Srivastava, good evening to you. You have joined us, and she's saying Claris is inspiring souls around. Spirituality gives us this exceptional power. And I'm very sure that Claris, her own journey has not been that easy because I believe that, that every person goes through ups and downs in life. And Claris, I agree that there is no pain, there is no gain. I believe in this concept. You have to undergo a lot of pain to have that gain. So, do you think that by now you've achieved what you actually wanted out of life, or there is still much more that you are just wanting to achieve in life?
I feel like there's more. I feel like I'm barely even gracing where God asked me to do. Like, it's amazing how much 2 years can turn around my life. We've always lived in the bad neighborhood in New Mexico, and now we lived in a nice neighborhood in a house. So I know in my heart
Wow.
there is still more. I could still keep going if I just work hard enough, if I work on myself hard enough and really embrace that part of me and not be afraid of people's judgment and people's like misconcept with me. I will go farther as long as I trust and obey what God told me to do. I know there's more.
True, true. And I totally agree with you. When you are believing in your thoughts and the positive affirmations that you're having, Clarice, I'm sure that you're going to move your country in a very, very progressive manner. Can you relate to one incident in your life that actually made you feel that you're really very beautiful, apart from the achievements in your life? Was there anything that actually made you feel so happy and glad that you are the one who you are right now? Any kind of happiness, or by doing a kind act to a person where you felt, oh, that's a memory that I remember and I'll cherish it for longer term period?
Oh, yeah, I definitely do. As a life coach myself, I often find sometimes that I'm like, I feel like I'm not doing enough or I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. But hearing the people's comments and just telling me how much they're so happy I didn't give up because now they can see that if I could do it, they could do it. Like that to me is very important. And I cherish that so deeply because it's not easy being a leader. It's not easy being a coach because you're still human and you still go through things, like you said. It's never an easy path. But for me, one thing that I hold on so dearly is that moment that I know that I can inspire and help change someone's life because of my
That's
situation and
that's
my
really
past.
wonderful. That's really wonderful. I mean, apart from that, you said that you have faced sexual abuse. So, not harming your psychological well-being. I would love the viewers to know that how did you overcome this process? Did you consult a psychologist, or were you open about sharing this with your friends and they kind of pulled you out of it? Or there are some tips and techniques which people can follow, or the ones who are watching it could be the ones who are having this problem in their life and they're not sharing it openly. So could you just let the viewers know what they should do when they are facing such a problem?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it wasn't actually a choice. My husband now, who I was dating then, was the one who actually figured it out. He called it a pun, actually. I wasn't ready to face it.
Oh,
I wanted to just like run away. But at that moment,
yeah,
when everything was just kind of in the surface, you have nowhere to go but to face it. And so the one thing
yes,
that I can give as an advice is definitely seek counseling. And I attended
yeah,
a counseling in my church, and I did it for an entire year. That actually helped me dive deeper as to why it even happened, that it wasn't my fault, and that I am not what they called me I am, because when you go through those things, people call you names.
Yes, you do. You
Like
do.
it was your fault.
Yeah, exactly. You are being called names, and there are taboos in this world that I was coming to the question that do you think there are taboos which need to be shunned apart from the taboos we are living by, and the stereotypes need to be broken because the barriers which we are facing in the communication process by sharing things openly, do you think that they really help like breaking these taboos, and it actually bridges the gap between the souls who are having a lot of hatred and a lot of preconceived notions about the other person? Could be anything, any country, any culture, any values. Do you have anything to say on this, that apart from whatever I'm doing, I'm breaking the barriers to join the souls across the globe and bring you and bring other souls on this platform to talk about certain important aspects of life that really need to be enlightened on. So do you think the taboos need to be broken, and if
Hmm.
yes, then why?
Oh yeah, absolutely. As a Filipino, because I'm not from New Mexico really, I came from New
Okay.
Mexico. I came from Philippines. I came from Philippines living in New Mexico. In Filipino culture, that is so
Okay.
shunned. You are not to say anything. You are to just ignore that, and that you're to just like deal with it. There was never such thing as like empowering or sharing, because it's like it's a shame. They like make you feel so shameful that even happened, like it's your fault. Like, why did you do it anyways? What happened? Because
Oh,
back home in Philippines at the age of 16, you're already a legal adult. And
I
so
understand.
saying that, like, you know what I mean, saying that, and like even now I would encounter some women back home that would tell me that their parents would get mad at them, or they got kicked out because they told them such and such did this to them. Like, I absolutely think that should be like put to like grave, and like it needs to be said, it needs to be shared, it needs to be brought up so that the person can actually heal. Because then what? It just goes into a vicious cycle. You know what I mean?
I totally agree with the concept that you're sharing, that one has to be out of it and one has to be open about sharing such things. Can you
Mm-hmm.
mention one of your life's biggest achievement apart from this foundation that you've built? And can you talk something about Broken but Beautifully Made and how you're going about the process of making ladies join your platform or an organization that is such a beautiful organization,
Sure.
Clarice?
Thank you. So basically, what I do is I try to really transparent as much as I can with people. I learn to not be afraid to share my story, because in my
Okay.
story alone, I've gone through so much. And actually, beginning
Yeah.
of this coming year, 2021, I will be publishing my official Broken but Beautifully Made book that I've been working on for 2 years. Broken but Beautifully Made actually derived from a book that I'm writing, my story. And
Oh,
then it just kind
wow.
of exploded into an organization, yeah, and then turned into a conference. And the next thing you know, now I'm a coach and I help mentor women and I inspire women every day. And I speak about just really my story and how God helped me, and He could do the same if you
Yeah.
allow Him. And if you're willing and ready to actually, like, okay, I can't stay here anymore, I gotta do something.
True, I totally agree with you, Clarice, and that's such a wonderful achievement of yours, I believe. And at an early age where you are achieving these goals, I'm sure in next coming 10 years you're going to move the entire globe. I'm sure about it. And coming on my show is a privilege and honor for me because obviously these all things that I'm experiencing with people who are coming and giving me their precious time is actually not only for me but for the benefit of the entire globe. And I totally feel that this kind of a concept
Mhm.
where we are having conversations which are candid are really very important in life, because who knows who's watching us and who's getting inspired and motivated by the
Mhm.
talks that we have experienced. And we have met so many people across the globe. We keep in touch with those things that are meaningful, and yet they can impact a lot many souls. So my dear viewers who have joined us, I'm very thankful and glad that you are there with us, because it takes more than one to actually form a chain of, those souls who are genuinely working in for the betterment of the nation. I'm honored and I'm glad with Clarice Cregger to actually hold this talk show. So, Clarice, I would love to ask you. There are some parents on the Indian corner, and they don't teach students or the kids, even the teachers in the schools, they don't talk about sex education. Do you think it's really important? Because in the foreign countries, I don't know about the educational system, but I know that they are quite questioned about the concept, and people are aware of it, and they're well
Mm-hmm.
versed with it. But on Indian corners, there are still parents who do not teach their kids about what this gender equality is, what the sex difference between sex and sexual abuse and all that stuff. Do you think that it needs to be openly communicated to kids?
Oh yeah, I mean, I can be transparent right now. In Philippines, they don't teach that. I grew up in in a Catholic school, okay? And so
Okay,
that was very like frowned upon. Like that's not something they talk about. And so I feel like if you actually teach that and tell children that or tell young adults that they have more of an understanding, so when they're facing situations that is not normal, they know how to deal with it, you know? And there's nothing wrong with saying like, okay, we are sexual beings. You know, I mean, it's going to happen. You know, I mean, we are created to reproduce, and so, but we have to also understand that we have to protect them in a way of knowledge, helping them understand
true.
that. What is this? Why do we do this? You know, I mean, instead of hiding it, nothing good comes from hiding because then I was a teenager once and I was a rebel. So I want to just go hang out and do whatever, you know? So I feel like actually saying that is a lot helpful than hiding it, you know?
Yeah, that's so important. The parents who would be watching this episode, I'm sure they should realize that by teaching your kids and openly communicating with them can actually solve and resolve many issues. And when there are open
Mm-hmm.
channels of communication and expression, there goes a lot of meaningful information which can be shared in a correct manner and in a very dignified manner. My dear parents, do listen to this episode because it's really very important. So, Clarice, what according to you are the five qualities that make you stand apart from all other ladies?
What are my five qualities? Oh dear.
Yeah, your
I
according to you.
uh, according to me, I would say I'm very determined. I am very persistent. Um, I'm
Wow.
very energetic, I would say. My husband tells me I have energy of like a horse. I never get tired. Um,
That's
I'm,
that's nice. I like it.
I really am like I cleaned my whole house for entire 16 hours yesterday and I still did homework. So I think I'm pretty energetic. I would say I'm very creative. I love to create things. I love to create from nothing to something beautiful. And the last thing I would say is I'm very loyal. I'm a very loyal person.
Oh,
Like I try my best to give people many chances and give them grace and understanding because I know I would want that for me. So I try to be that
yes.
difference in the world. And I really am. I'm very loyal to my family, to my husband, to the women I'm helping, and just to my own belief system. Even I truly keep that foundation very sturdy with me.
Okay, so that brings me to something that I've been following, that you are a photographer as well, right? Your profession as a photographer is
Yes.
there as well. So, what made you just divert your attention from broken but beautifully made to photography? Or was it during the childhood time period when you realized that you were always interested in clicking pictures or something? Or was it just a shift of interest in the later years?
No, no problem. Actually, photography came before Broken but Beautifully Made. They all kind of like entwined together. Photography was my out when I was going through all of that uh, with all that sexual abuse and all of that. Like photography at the age of 16 was my out. I found ways to where taking picture made me happy. Actually, at the age of 16, I got awarded as a best photographer for the Air Force. And so it was like,
Wow.
yeah, I've always like just kind of like loved it. And so ever since then, after a while, like I kind of stopped. And then just like recently, I would say about like 3, 4 years ago, I finally like, okay, that's my heart. Because as a photographer, I don't say I'm a photographer. I create memories. I
Yes,
captured the beauty that the world has never seen, and I showed it to them. And so I like to
that's
always tell
wonderful.
my clients that my job as your photographer is to show the world your beauty that you haven't yet to see also, and show it to them.
That's wonderful. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
So
So you're creating memories for people, and I'm sure the special clients of yours would be speaking a lot about the beauty that you've created for them, and they cherish it for the times to come. So, Clarice, could you let us know what does a good relationship mean to you? I mean, what does a healthy relationship have or should have for the viewers to know that these are the points wherein people can feel that okay, they're having a healthy relationship. Some ladies are in toxic relationships. They don't come to know what impact it has on their mental set and the physical bodies. But there are some women who shy away
Mhm.
from just coming out of
Mm.
it, and they subjugate to the pressure of the patriarchy system. So can you just talk about those points wherein they should know that this is healthy, this isn't healthy, or something that according to you should be a must in a relationship?
Sure, that's actually a really great question because I went through that myself. So I would say you need to be in a relationship that actually builds you, not tears you down. Someone that you can come to and actually share the same vision or see the vision you have and exceed that, and give you a different perspective. Because oftentimes when you're in a relationship, we get so stuck with the title of like, oh, they're my boyfriend or my girlfriend or my husband. But
True.
actually stepping outside of that and having them to help you grow that part of you, I think is so
True.
important, and having that transparency conversation with you. If you're acting not right, they need to be able to tell that to you, and you should be able to tell them that vice versa. That's definitely one thing. Another thing that I would say that it's a must is just the honesty that you guys have to each other.
Yes, that's so nice. I mean, honest relationships actually go a long way. In this manipulative world, people are donning many, many masks on their face, and still they cannot sleep with the fact that they have actually betrayed a lot many people, and they have actually earned a lot of money facing and doing those manipulative acts. So, Clarice, may I ask you what, according to you, is confidence? Because I see a lot of confidence in you. Apart from what I hear from people as a compliment for myself, there are people who are low in confidence, and what can they do to just improve their self esteem? That's one question that I would love to ask you, because they are
Mm-hmm.
females. You must have come across, they are always feeling low, they are depressed, or because they have faced a traumatic incidents in their life, or a breakup or a breakdown or something. Uh, what would it entail to just pick the pieces up and move ahead in life?
I would say what I had to go through to find like self-confidence was to love myself. I had to learn to figure out who I am. So for our viewers, I would definitely suggest like find you, date yourself. I mean, it's a funny story. Is like when me and my husband were separated, I was dating me. I would take myself out. I would get dressed up, not because for another person, but for me, and I wanted to make sure that everybody goes through it. It doesn't matter what gender you're in, whether you're male or female, everybody gets depressed. But you have to understand, you have to have a relationship with yourself, and you have to love yourself
True,
when you're alone, and that's
true,
kind of like where the confidence really started building with me, is that I am okay eating alone, and that's okay. I
exactly.
am okay,
That's
I'm okay going to the movies by myself. That's okay. I don't need a person right next to me to make me happy because I'm happy
very right,
alone.
very right.
If you can actually legitimately tell yourself, I'll be okay, go ahead. Like that's an absolute like peace. And then when you have peace, you have full confidence in yourself to know that I'll be okay.
Yeah, that's so right. So do you think, Clarice, that psychological independence does work better in a relationship? Like, people are knowing independence only on the physical grounds, okay, but not psychologically. So, do you think psychological independence is playing a part in developing good relationships, whether it's friendship, whether it's parent-child relation, whether it's a friend-friend relation? Do you think it's important to be psychologically independent?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You have to have your own identity,
Yeah.
and that's why I said when me and my husband kind of had separated, I lost my identity because I attached myself to that. You have to have your own
Oh.
individuality, your own psychological independence. And so for me, I would say yes, because in like the way our relationship now is, I do my own thing and I grow myself,
Okay.
he grows himself, and then
Yes.
we come together and we exchange ideas from two different perspectives of different career paths. It's always about the giving and the give and take. Like you cannot just rely on them and solely have your full independence on them and what they're going to say and what they're going to do, because then that's so detrimental, because you also are a human, you have goals, you have dreams, you have ambitions. You are not just called to
True.
live in this earth to live for the day,
True. True. That's so rightly stated by you, that you have your own life and you have to evolve and you have to have that space. And that's so beautifully said by you, that there are two people who are sharing those ideas that can actually lead to a lot of growth and progress, only if the other party is willing to listen. There has to be a understanding and willingness to openly listen to the party without being aggressive, argumentative. And yeah, sometimes arguments happen, and I'm sure that every relationship has a lot of arguments, wherein I think the other party or the one of the parties should actually be cool headed for some time, or they should just walk out of that area when a person is heated, or in that space when he is wanting that kind of freedom to just let it out. So, do you think, like in
Mm-hmm.
psychology, there is a term called catharsis, which is free talk? So, my concept of this deep talk is based on catharsis. It's a term by Sigmund Freud, and I feel that it's an honor for me to hold such a show wherein people come and they don't feel hesitant. They feel very comfortable in sharing their own life, and I feel that it is uncensored. There is no media following this, and in case even if the media follows, they know the truth, and the honest people are coming forward to share something that's very, very private to them and personal to them. Because in India, people don't approach psychologists very often, though now they have started. Do you think that psychologists are a great factor in improving the situation if one actually approaches the counselor when they are down or when they are facing an issue, whether it's personal or professional? Do you think that they need to be shown a little more respect? Do you think that they deserve to
Oh
be
yeah.
mentioned in those, yeah, in those areas of honor where they're doing great work, but still people do not rely on them? Do you think that assistance should be taken?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with that, because again, I wouldn't be where I am now if I did not go through counseling, if I did not had that free talk, like how you said. I felt like when I was going to counseling, it was the moment that I was able to just release and just talk about it, and to know that I'm talking to someone with no bias, who doesn't know me from like the haystack, you know? So I do
True.
respect psychologists, because
True.
you need that. You need, like, God created everybody for a purpose, and I feel like doctors are made to help surgery. That, I mean, it's like comparison to a heart surgeon, like they're fixing
True.
heart,
True.
you're fixing emotional. They're all coincide together. So they do deserve respect. Absolutely.
True, true. So, okay, so there's a fun question. What are those two fantasies that you still have to live by?
Two fantasies, like what? I guess like for me, I've always wanted to just um build my own home, our own home, and have like
Wow.
loads of children, and
Wonderful,
and
wonderful.
live in a
That's
forest.
Yeah, that's the best answer anybody could give because I do love kids, and I believe that kids around your house actually improves the environment because they're so energetic and they keep you young and they keep you positive and they give you a lot of silly ideas which actually are silly according to adults, but when it comes to when it comes to play and action, I believe that they can offer some kind of an experience that we would cherish our entire life. And it's well said that when you age, you actually start behaving like a child. And I truly feel that the child within us,
Yeah.
in psychological terms, should never die. It should never die. We should be always laughing, or should always be dressing up, and should always be making it up for those days. Even the darker days should be done up with a lot of makeup. Like I feel that, there are women who come out and openly say, oh my God, you were undergoing divorce battle, but you were applying that red lipstick, wearing that 6 inches heel and walking the court. To which I actually pointed out to them, darling, if you really dress up well, half of the battle is won.
Yes.
I got a lot of power. I mean, I felt, my God, look at me. I'm so beautiful. I'm walking it out. And this isn't something that I'm not going to cherish later. It is something that I'm undergoing, and it is just facing the consequences of what I took as a decision. It was as normal for me. And
Hmm.
for me, I think without being dressed up, like psychologists also say that first thing is you should dress up well, because mentally you're preparing your mind that if you're dressed well, things are going well. So sometimes you need to condition your mind
Hmm.
for preparing to receive good vibes. So the moment you get up, if you do not smile or if you do not pat your back every day, you do not feel the energy, the need to even move. And that's what I believe in. Even if you've had a bad day, pat yourself, write down the good things that you did despite the bad things that happened, because even then, you still have that potential, and every day isn't a good day. And in every phase of life, we do not receive that adulation, that admiration from everyone. We cannot please everybody, Clarice. Am I right on
Hmm.
that?
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right on that. I agree. I agree
So
100%.
yeah, so what do you think of the males who are in depression? Can you give some tips to our viewers who can come out of depression? Some tips that you followed in your lifestyle, like some eating habits or some kind of meditation or some kind of something that you actually did to actually come out of what you faced in your personal experience.
Sure. That's actually what I teach as a life coach, as a transformational life coach. I teach people that.
Yeah,
I would say journal. Journaling became so important to me. Allowing my brain to put it in the paper. There's some correlation. Study does show that if you write it down, you release it. Like I'm all about releasing. You have to release, you have to
yeah,
reflect, you have to refocus and restart again. Like it's a constant switch in your mind. When you're going through that
yeah,
like dark, deep moment, all you can see is the negative. Like you're in this, just this, Sometimes it takes just a little bit of like, just look up just a little bit, write it
yeah,
down. And then I started getting into like the physical aspect. There's something about nature. Get out of your house.
yeah,
Stop staying in your house, like go for a walk or go talk to a friend. Sometimes those are even hard to do, but you have to just lean and pray too. I prayed so much and I cried. If you have to cry, cry it out. There's healing
right.
in tears. There is absolute healing in
True.
tears. And you don't have to be okay today, but you
Yes,
have to understand that at some point you are going to be okay. Like just seeing that and understanding that and writing it down and even speaking it loudly. I am going to be okay.
true.
This is
Very
temporary.
true.
Like speaking it loud, there's something about our mouth and our voice have the power to speak life and death. So what you
True.
say out loud is what you become. So if you're saying out
Very
loud that
true.
I'm depressed, this is sad, this sucks, there's always going to be sucks. You know what I mean? So if you say, I am going to have a good day today, and it's going to be a good day,
Yeah.
and then you just keep doing that. Even though, like you said, even then, when you have a hard time, you know for a fact in your heart that it's like, I wrote it down, and you can go back and reflect on that journal that you wrote down. Like, look how far you've come along. Little small progress goes a long way.
Very right. Little small progress goes a long way, my dear viewers. She has pointed out a lot many good tips and information that's quite meaningful, and it is appreciative enough from my side that we are having an acknowledged speaker, author, and owner and founder of Broken but Beautifully Made. I'm so very inspired by her and her life and her work and her experiences that she's sharing something that's an honest confession coming in from her. So we are having her, and we would love to know, Clarice, that what are those tips that you can offer our viewers for writing a great book? Because you have been at a young age, experiencing that now by being an author yourself. I'm sure that there would be some points that can be kept in mind while, walking that journey of being an author.
Sure. I would definitely say never give up. Never give up
Okay.
because I know that it's not easy. Do not let your language be the deterrent of your dream. That was the one thing that hold me back was that I was like, English is not my first language. I speak
Okay.
fluent Tagalog and I got made fun of for my grammar so much my
Oh,
entire childhood. And so that became like the big ball and chain for me, and I didn't want to do writing. But I would say if you are wanting to write, everybody has a story, everybody has a book within them, you know? So start
yes.
first, seek out help. If you are wanting to write, look for people that are coaches who can walk you through it, who can guide you. Find friends who thinks a
True.
lot like you know, who can motivate you, not discourage you and tell you, oh, bro, that's too much work. Find people that will say, come on, let's do it. Let me read it for you, and give you actual constructive feedback that you can grow from, Don't get too sensitive.
Yeah, true.
People are not people are not gonna like everything you do, and that's okay. It's gonna be meant for the people
I
that are supposed to like
I
it. And like,
yeah,
and
I
the last
understand.
thing is just write, right? You just gotta write. There's nothing like
True.
stop editing. Like I got into the point that I was writing and then I was writing and editing at the same time. Just write. Take time to
Yeah.
just write. Write it. You don't have to like go through this entire like I'm gonna edit it. Stay in a room, like for me, what I found helpful for me was I put on my headphones, I listened to worship music, and I just flowed. Like some people like
That's
the dead silence. I'm not a dead silence person. I need music. I'm a very musical person, so I'm like
that
writing, that's
that
how I
that
found
was
my creativity.
yeah, that was you and me are quite similar, energetic and cleaning the house up in just few hours and then liking the music, and I don't like silence at all. Sometimes I feel I'm the only one out of the block. Like, people are shouting like my family members. I don't know how you study, and is this the way you study? I mean, in people study in silence. Like, because we are creative, we remain up and awake in the night. So here it's night, and I can do all the work in about, say, 3, 4 hours. Whereas in the day, I feel like sleeping and lazing around. Maybe we are made that way. And there is no harm. And there is no harm. Like, I would love to work in the night and make it my day for that matter. So we are writers and we are ones who are creative souls working it out. And I believe it's beautiful. It's beautiful to come across a soul, across the globe who is just similar in some thought processes. And I really feel honored to have you, Clarice, because every now and then there was an emergency situation popping in and we couldn't connect. So I really wanted you to be
I
here
know.
because, yeah, and I wanted you to be here because I wanted you to share this broken but beautifully made concept because I was quite influenced by it because I have a platform named Soch Ki Udan Desh Ke Naam. That is a platform where people come and celebrate their painful stories in less than 20 minutes or 25 minutes. They are there on the stage sharing their painful
Wow.
stories. So you must have heard about things that people celebrate only the parties, the achievements, and the joys. We want to talk about not the achievements. We want to talk about on this show who Clarice is, what Clarice likes, and what Clarice dislikes. So people know who Claris is, the human you are. We want to know the soul of you. We don't want to know
Mhm.
what kind of achievements you had, what kind of taglines you are following, and how many followers are you having. We are not wanting that. We are wanting open, honest conversation
Mhm.
that is just bringing the plain fact that we can live a simple life provided that we stay grounded and we bow down to Lord above. Because I feel without his blessings, we are nothing. We are nothing,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
So,
I agree.
let me know, which is that one experience of your conference that made you think that you actually excelled in it. There must have been many conferences in your broken but beautifully made chapters of, meeting and coming across many women. And was there any women that inspired you in the conference that actually made you feel, oh my God, look, she's much more power than me?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Last year was actually my first ever conference that I've ever held for
Wow.
Broken but Beautifully Made, and it's so yeah, it's so inspiring because I had over 200 women there that had attended from all across the U.S. who'd never met me. The
Okay.
speakers that I have asked to speak are like mentors who are more than me. You know, they were there when I was in the pits of hell, I always call. They were the one I looked up to. They were the one who would tell me keep going, and to know that they agreed to even speak for me and really delivered, it was empowering because it was like, wow,
Wow.
they can trust me and I trust them. And it just built this really amazing flow because the women that were there were like pastors or evangelists who's like in my era, I'm like, I'm still new to this, but they were like, yes, we will do it for you, Claire. And they did, and they delivered. And there were so many lives that day that was changed, that there were no eyes that was dry. Let me just leave it there. Every
Wow.
woman in that room was crying and just like sobbing and just saying like, wow, I didn't know that you went through that. Because last year, actually, on the first day of the conference, was the first time in 10 years I actually spoke about my story. So that was a
Wow. That's
very, very important
emotional
conference
time for
last
you.
year
Yes.
because yes.
Yeah. So when are you holding the second conference? Is there any news up on the corners? Because I keep seeing that. And do you have space for the Indian ladies who you would want to join your platform, or any kind of, a link or something that you would love to share
Yes,
with the audiences? What?
absolutely. The conference is international this time. It is virtual. And we're in the middle of pandemic and I didn't want that to like stop what God is doing. And so,
Yes.
yes, you are welcome to attend. You can join the group on Broken but Beautifully Made Women's Empowerment Group. Or if you want to
Wow.
attend, the conference is on
That's wonderful.
December. Yeah, the conference is actually in 2 weeks. It's on December 7th to the 8th. It will be virtual via Zoom. And just think about it, you'll get to meet different women
Wow.
that have gone through different situation. I will have 5 powerful speaker there. We will have attendees from South Africa to Philippines to here in the US. And I would love to invite
That's
India
wonderful.
to come and attend.
Please, all the viewers who are going to watch this episode, Clarice Clegger is declaring that she's inviting all the Indians, all the Indian ladies across. Please see her page, follow her, and look up to what she's doing, because she's doing terrific and amazing. Apart from that, Clarice, I would love to know, what are the 5 things that you dislike and you just cannot stand by?
Oh, that's a long list.
Oh,
The 5 things that I don't
I
like.
would love to wrap the
uh,
long list of dislikes, because that's something that I quite like about people when they talk about their dislikes, because that's where the role of the potential comes out, that you need to work on it.
I would say I don't like fake people. I'm very transparent, so I don't like
Cool,
fake people.
cool.
I don't like people who can't respect my time. I'm all about time, as you know, as an entrepreneur and a creative person. Time is important.
Very important.
Another thing is I don't like gossip. I don't like
True.
gossip. I would be like the first person to run away from that. Drama. I can't stand drama. Like I'm all about like just lay it all out. Like I don't got time for that. Another thing
Yeah.
that I would say, I don't like liars. I don't like people
Yeah.
who lied to me or talk bad about me because I would rather you just tell me what I did wrong and so that I can correct it for you. You know, I feel like
True.
that's
That's
very important
very important.
because how
Very
am I
important.
going to grow when you're not even telling me that I have offended you or that I have done something? It is your
True.
duty as a human, to tell another person what you have done wrong so that person can grow and you can still have that relationship. A lot of times people just like ignore me and never tell me. So I'm like, well, heck, I don't know what I did.
Yeah. Oh, that's happened so many times. There are men who come dating and they lie a lot about their relationships in the past, and then you start and then you see, oh my God, this man is not picking up my phone. Is it some technological error or this is some intent of his to just ignore you or something? I mean, all these things that I have been facing as
Mhm.
well. I feel that there has to be a certain amount of clarity in relations, and even if you had a bad past, there is nothing wrong in being clear and starting a relationship on an honest ground. Clarice, what do you think about live-in relationships? I would love to know about the freedom given to all the transgenders and to all the people who are wanting to celebrate their own gender identities. What is your take on it? Should people get all the equal rights as anyone should have? Because I believe that everybody has their own journey in life, and they should be equally respected for whatever they want to do in life and whatever they want to express in life, provided they are not harming the country's progress and anybody else.
I completely agree with you on that. I always tell people when they ask me that specific question, I came from a family that have a lot of transgender and gay. I have a sister
Okay,
who is currently right now struggling with that herself. And
okay,
coming close to that, I have to, at first, I was very close minded. I'm not going to lie, you know, but I have to
okay.
understand that I'm not perfect. I'm not God. I'm
Yes,
not here to judge you.
yes,
All I can do is love you and help you
yes.
because when I heard that coming from my family members that they're going through that, it broke me because it's like you're still a person. Why do we judge you that way? Like I'm not
True.
God, I can never do that. And so for me, I feel like everybody deserves equality because who are we? We deserve the same that we they do. We're just humans all trying to live life and survive and find another love from another person.
Yeah, that's so nice. So, okay, coming to a fun question, what turns you on, Clarice?
Oh man, for me, I would say an intellectual. I'm very an intellectual person. I like to
Wow.
make sure that the person actually takes time to grow themselves. Like I always tell my husband that I'm like, when he's actually like talking smart, I'm like, oh my goodness, because it's like for me, I can learn from you. You're like a book
Yeah,
because it's like I love to
yeah,
read. And of course, I'd like to have my husband look handsome, but at the same time, it's like
yeah.
I'm not a very physical person. I'm very like
Yeah,
spiritual connection, intellectual type of person. I don't care if you have
that's
nice abs or whatever. You could That's not gonna like help the situation like at all. I mean, it's
exactly.
nice, but it's not like the cherry
That's
on
somewhere
the
so
cake.
that's somewhere so common with I'm seeing that I'm meeting people who are just similar like me. So somewhere we're connecting across the globe. So that's there one thing that you have said that is quite similar to me. Even I would not love to sit around with someone who cannot talk to me, and I can just in about 2 minutes make out whether I'm going to have a conversation with this person, or am I going to just leave that place. So anybody who cannot
Right?
please.
Yeah, because I
So
feel like
anybody, yeah, yeah,
yeah, because I feel like a lot of the times, like in my age anyways, like they get so focused on the physical aspect that you forget this and this, which is
Yes,
this and this is
true.
the one that locks the deal, you know? So it's like I have to be able to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, true. So, what are those five dating tips that you would love to give our viewers in just about, say, another 5 or 10 minutes? We would be leaving this deep talk stage, but then what are those five tips that our viewers would love to have from Clarice Cregger? Because you've been dealing with a lot of relationships and you know what it takes to be who you are today and openly letting people know if they can benefit from those tips that you can give to them, because the ones who are in the relationships, they can come to know maybe and they can follow those tips to become better person.
Sure. I would say number one, be honest with yourself. Really understand what you like,
Okay.
who you like, what you want to have in a relationship. Do not, number two, settle. You know, yes, we have to compromise. You can compromise on certain things. I would create a pro and con list. These are the things that I'm
True.
willing to compromise. These are the things I'm not willing to compromise, you know, because it's like
Wow.
once you're in there, what is the point of having to go over and over on doing the same thing and experiencing the same no good results? Third thing is be happy with what you're doing, with who you're dating. Stop being so miserable from like your last experience from the last person you dated. You know, they are not them, you know, so try to
Yes.
be happy. The fourth thing I would say is be transparent with a person. If you don't like them, do not waste their time. If you find that
Mhm.
they could be improving on something, you know, just tell them. And maybe it's not going to work out in a relationship of like sexual, but you can have it as a friendship, you know, like we are supposed to love
True.
one another. So just have that. And then the last thing is stop thinking about sex too much in the beginning. You know, like
I agree on
we
that.
have
I
like
agree on that.
we get like the sexual tension that we could just think of like sex. Like you get your head out of the gutter, like they always say, like think about it first, like who
God,
you, who
you're
this
making
person
me laugh
is
now.
before you start thinking of that.
Oh God.
Like that will come.
Yeah, that will come anyhow. But then there are no conversations happening when you actually meet people and they only think about the physical facts about, okay, my figure is like this and this, blah, blah, blah. And then they see the naked part of the female and then they, oh my God, the lust and the desire to just hold, grab and, just commit those acts which are blunders. And then you realize that why are you actually in this relationship? And actually,
Hmm.
I feel that it's not about those things as much as about having fun together, have mutual respect for each other, but then do not harm. Because there is one more thing that has taken me for a thought, that there are people who malign the female's image when they're actually making love with them. There are people who actually use technology in a bad manner. What is your take on it? Because there are
Hmm.
people who are trying to blackmail, whether it's females or the males, both the genders stand equal. What is your take on it, Clarice? What should be done about it? I mean, should the mobiles be switched off when people are making love? Because this is something that I always tell people, that in case, because of the technology, you cannot trust
Oh
the
yeah.
person you are with. It's very important that you protect your integrity and respect. And because that is important, you need to realize where you are doing what. Because, I've seen females after drinks, they are no, they are going somewhere and then they are not knowing, they're vulnerable to situations, and then they face such things that can actually they can actually hit hard time with the respect that's coming down, and then the guilt rises and there are many issues that they are unable to face. So what's your take on these
Hmm.
kind of concepts? I mean, should we talk it openly on these platforms? Would you want this deep talks to go forward with having people who can talk about more things that are open? And what drew you to deep talks is one thing that I would love to ask you before we leave this show, because that's very important, apart from the question I asked you before.
So for your first question about like the device, I agree with that. My parents have always warned me with that ever since I was like 16. because they're like, you need to make sure they're not filming you, because like you said, they can
Yeah,
blackmail you. Like,
yeah,
I I am a firm sex and intimacy between a couple is very private. It should never be
it's
shared.
very private.
I
True.
mean, what goes on in the bed should stay in the bed, and it should never be flunked out everywhere when it comes to that. Um, I believe what you're doing, Ms. Grulin, is amazing. We need more of this because transparency and honesty is the best way to grow. Like, I'm no better. I'm a person. I have feelings. I
Yes,
also have the same thing. So I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I'm someone else, and like
yes,
I feel like the deep talks are important because we have to be able to have a free space to talk as to who we are and not be afraid to ask those questions, such as like
true,
sexual stuff
true,
or
true.
just relationship things, because I feel like in a society we try to hush that so much that
Yes,
we just kind of leave that under the rug and we forget that we are still sexual beings, and so it's like, hello, like that's still a
yeah,
question that can be asked, and there's nothing
true.
wrong with answering that, and I believe with everything you do, and I'm so honored to be here. It's such a privilege to get to talk to you and everybody. And I know we've had quite a few like ups and downs with like trying to schedule, but today we made
That's
it.
okay.
So I'm so
That's
honored to be
completely
here.
fine. That's a victory sign that we are here, we are talking, we are conversing. I'm so honored. See, I am very flexible with people. I make them feel comfortable. And I am such a soul where I feel that, if they are working and if there is an emergency on my side, we better sort it out and we do not miss out on the conversations because that might inspire someone. So I'm doing it for betterment. And if that person is not feeling comfortable coming on this deep talks, how good am I in as a psychologist is the question that I ask myself. So before
Mm.
arranging such kind of souls to come on my show, I make sure that they are comfortable, they are happy, and they are at peace to be who they are. And that is my purpose. And if in case you are happy, that projects on your face, and I'm sure, darling, that you would have loved these conversations, and I'm sure that we will stay connected. But before leaving, which is that one soul you would love to name on this show that stands as a role model for your life? Is there any person in your life that you have been inspired from and you would want to talk on this show about?
Like, does it have to be a personal person that I know, or does it have to be like anybody?
Anything, anybody that has been your that you look out for or you look up to, right?
I would say for me, it's always been Maya Alu. And
Yeah.
I'm just so inspired by her because as a woman, it's a struggle already with our gender. And a woman that's not of like a higher estate of color, I'm a minority, that's already a struggle. So seeing her wisdom and how she pushed through things really inspires me every day. Like I have so much quotes of her in my house, it's ridiculous. But it's like it's the one
Wow.
thing that helps me when I'm feeling like very, very sad, because I could just see that look at these women. They were able to overcome and they were able to do it in a harder times than me. So I would say
I
Mayalu is the person.
That's wonderful and that's amazing. So, before signing off, that's the last thing that I would love to know. Um, which is that one message that you have to yet give to the women around the globe? Because all of them are watching us, and today we two power ladies are sitting right across each other, having conversations which are candid. Which is that message that you have not spoken on your conference platforms that you would love to speak on this platform where it would impact the Indian ladies a lot more?
Sure. Do not let your culture stop your dreams. Do not let
Wow.
anyone anybody stop your dreams. Don't let your color, your race, or your gender stop you from achieving those goals. Just because you may think you're young, just because you think you are dark skinned, or just because you think are not from a higher estate type of community does not mean that you're not going to make it. Just trust and know that you have what it takes, and that all you have to do is to reflect on yourself, release on anything that you are holding on, refocus on what the goal is, and start over and over and over because the best is yet to come.
That's wonderfully stated, and I'm honored, Clarice, once again. We would stay connected and we would stay kicking, and that was wonderful to have you. And I'm sure this episode is going to be rolling in for people viewing us after the live. And I'm sure you did amazingly well on this candid conversation because that was my purpose, to make you comfortable, make you happy. And in case of any problems, my darling, I ask for forgiveness for rescheduling this, but I love you so much that I had the pleasure of having such a genuine, such an honest soul that I cannot thank Lord enough that you are my friend. Thank you, my dear friend. And any viewers who
Thank
would love
you.
to connect you, broken but beautifully made, I will shoot all the ladies right across to you, and they would be a part of your project. And yes, whenever you need me,
Yes.
just I'm a call away and a text away. That you already know that we are connected. So
Yes.
I'm
I love
signing
you
off,
too,
and
sis.
you have,
Thank you so much.
thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Signing off, my dear viewers. Watch us all again. Bye bye.
Bye.